All right, we're going to talk about 1.6 compound inequalities. Now, before we get started, what is a compound inequality? That is the first essential question. Basically, a compound inequality is made up of two or more inequalities, and they're usually joined by an and or an or. Basically, the first one that you see is what we call an and form. And basically, that means that there is an intersection. They both connect to each other. The or one, there's a disconnection there. One goes one direction, the other one goes the other direction. So those are the two compound inequalities that you're going to be seeing today. Now, to continue with the second essential question, well, how do you solve a compound inequality? Well, let's go ahead and solve it. The first one that we're going to look into is going to involve or. So this is an or inequality. And basically what it means is there's two inequalities. You're just going to have to solve them, separately. Okay. So I see that I have 8x plus 7 is less than negative 65. So I'm going to go ahead and write that right here. 8x plus 7 is less than negative 65. Or negative 10x minus 1, which is less than or equal to negative 21. So as you can see, there's two compound inequalities. We're going to solve them first, and then we're going to graph them. Okay. So the first one, super easy, two-step inequality. The first thing I need to get rid of is that 7. So I'm going to minus 7 to both sides. I'm going to create my line and just do the math. First one, we didn't do anything to it, so I'm just going to drop it like it's hot. 8x. 7 minus 7, that would be 0, so that's gone. And this is less than negative 65 minus 7, which is going to be 72 or negative 72. Okay. Remember, if you got trouble with the negatives, just go ahead and grab your calculator. Anyways, last step. The 8 and the x, they're multiplying each other. So what is the opposite of multiplication? That's going to be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. 8 divided by 8. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and create my line and then just do the math. 8 divided by 8 equals 1. So I'm left with x, which is less than negative 72 divided by 8, which is going to be negative 9. Then we got to solve the second one. So same thing, two-step inequality, super easy. First thing we need to get rid of is the negative 1. So what is the opposite of minus 1? That would be plus 1. So I'm going to plus 1 to both sides. Go ahead and draw your line and just do the math. First one, let's go ahead and drop it. And then I got negative 1 plus 1, which is 0. So that's gone. And negative 21 plus 1, which equals, or this is less than or equal to negative 21 plus 1, which is negative 20. And finally, my last step, what is the opposite of multiplication? That would be division. So I'm going to divide by negative 10. And whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Go ahead and draw your line and do the math. Negative 10 divided by negative 10, that equals to 1. So I'm left with x is, now here's what happened. We divided by negative 10. And because we divided by negative, notice that this one's negative, this one is negative. So as soon as you do that, remember one of the rules, we need to flip or reverse the symbol. So now my symbol is going to say, instead of saying less than or equal to, it's going to say greater than or equal to. All right. Now on the right side, we got negative 20 divided by negative 10, which is 2. So I got my two solutions now. X is less than negative 1 and x is greater than or equal to 2. Let's go ahead and put them into our graph. All right, so the first one says negative 9, so and it's not equal to, which means it's going to be an open circle. So I'm going to have an open circle at negative 9, which is right here. Now it says that x is less than negative 1. Well, where is less than negative 1? Less than negative 1 would be negative 9, sorry. Less than negative 9 would be negative 10, negative 11, negative 12. Remember, the more negative you get, the less of a value you have. So that would be the left side. All right, now the second one, we got x is greater than or equal to 2. Well, it says equal to, which means we're gonna have a closed circle, and we're gonna have a closed circle at 2. And it says x is greater than or equal to 2. Well, what numbers are greater than or equal to 2? Well, that would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on and on. And that is on the right side of that dot, which means that it's going to go to the right. And there's your solution for the compound inequality. So as you can see, when we're involving or, those two inequalities are going to be going the opposite direction. All right, moving on. One more example. We're going to be solving a compound inequality involving and, which means it's going to connect. And this one seems to be the one that most people have trouble with because it looks weird, and you're going to see why it looks weird. So we got to find the solution for, and I'm going to rewrite this again. 36 is less than 6x plus 6, which is less than or equal to 48. So as you can see, now we have two inequality symbols. That's going to make a difference. So we don't have a left and right side anymore. We actually have three sides. We have the left, we have the middle, and we have the right side. Okay, so we have the left, we have the middle, and we have the right side. Oops. Which means that when we move things around, we have to do it to all the three sides. Okay, let me explain what I mean. So notice that the x value is right in the middle. So we want to keep the x in the middle, which means anything else that is not an x, we got to move it to the left, and we also got to move it to the right. So first thing we want to get rid of is the 6. So let's get rid of that 6. Well, what is the opposite of plus 6? That would be minus 6. Now watch what's going to happen. I'm going to minus 6 from the middle, but I'm also going to minus 6 from the left. And I'm also going to minus 6 from the right. So this is something that you have done before. It just looks a little different. I'm going to draw my line and just do the math, left to right. So I got 36 minus 6, which equals to 30. All right. Now 6 minus 6, well, that goes to 0. So that's gone. And I'm left with 6x. And don't forget about the symbols. And then I got 48 minus 6, which equals to 42. All right. All right. So we're almost there. All right. Now we got to get rid of that 6. So again, the 6 and the x, they're multiplying each other. So let's do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to divide by 6. And again, whatever I do in the middle, I'm going to do to the left and I'm going to do to the right. So I'm going to divide the left side by 6 and I'm going to divide the right side by 6 as well. I'm going to draw my line and let's just go ahead and do the math. Well, 30 divided by 6, that equals to 5. And I'm going to bring down the symbol. Now 6 divided by 6, well, that's just 1. So I'm going to bring down the x. And again, bring down the symbol. And then I got 42 divided by 6, which equals to 7. So now that the x is completely by itself in the middle, now we can go ahead and graph it. And basically, when you see a solution, when x is in the middle and you got two numbers and you got a number on the left and on the right, basically what this means is that x is in between those two numbers. So let's go ahead and find those two numbers. Now notice that on this one, there's no equal sign, which means you're gonna have an open circle at 5. This one has an equal sign, which means it's gonna have a closed circle at 5. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put out an open circle at 5. And let's put a closed circle at 7. And once you do that, all you got to do is connect them. and that's your solution.